All right, everybody, welcome in to another episode of Making It Rain, Hockey Royalties Rain podcast, also part of the Hockey Podcast Network. As always, my esteemed colleague, Joe Paterino. How you doing, my man?
Doing very well, Randon. How are you? Besides the result, how was the game last night? Because I know you were in attendance. Kings game.
Just madness because we were up 3-1, and like I was telling you before we got on here, like I just on this weird streak. My brother and I are on this weird streak that we just can't see a win from any of our teams. Baseball, football, hockey, it doesn't matter. And it's just so weird. I mean, we went and saw the Dallas home opener against the Kings, and we were ahead in that game. And then we saw both of Kaliev's just wonderful goals, and we were like, man, dude, this is going to be different because every single time that the Kings have lost this year, they've come back with a vengeance the next game. Like they've righted the ship, And so like, with that history and then the 3-1, I was like, okay, we're doing this, I'm sitting all that kind of stuff. And then just the wheels fall off. And I'm just like, not again. Like, there's no way that eventually my team's going to have to win. Like eventually sometimes something's going to have to break, but it was maddening. Other than that, it was good. I got to see a couple friends that I haven't seen in a while.
Sure.
Got to hang out with the brothers. We take the train out from Fort Worth to Dallas. So it's like an hour-long train ride, so you don't have to worry about drinking, driving, and parking and all that kind of stuff like that. So that was fun. It's always fun to go to hockey. Third period, we try to sneak down. I mean, we had good tickets anyways, but we try to sneak down on the glass. And because my friend and I saw two seats down there, or a couple seats down there, so we're like, the whole period. It was the third period, like the first 5 minutes, we were like, okay, we'll see if anybody comes back from getting their beer break. Nobody. So we start walking down. Him and I let this group of people pass us, and they go sit those seats. I don't know if it was their seats or not, but like then we're at the bottom of the staircase. Like, where do we do? Like, we just like walked all the way down. Everybody saw us walk down here, and so there happened to be two seats like in row 4, and then we had a guy ask us to move out of those two. So like we got to sit lower for a good, I don't know, like 2 minutes or whatever, and then had to go back to our seats. So it was a little embarrassing, but we tried to make it work. It was what it was, but it was fun. I mean, hockey games are always fun. Depressing result, I just want to win. Just want to win one, man. I just want to see a dub. The team's getting better.
You only go to so many games, right? So when you're there, you want to see the W.
Yeah, it's been rough as a Kings fan, like going to all these games. I remember my 30th birthday. I decided to go to LA, and I saw 2 games in LA and 1 game in Anaheim. We lost all 3 of them. And I didn't see one goal in the end that I was sitting at all 3 games.
That's bad.
It was luck. Like, I should probably never go to a Kings game if we hope to win those. If we're in the Stanley Cup and I have an opportunity to go, I'll probably stay home because I don't want to ruin it for them with the way my luck is going right now. But how's your week been? You have a beer league game tonight or what?
Sure did. Another W. We
just lighting up clappers from the blue line, huh?
You won't see me lighting clappers, but we another late one, left it late. It was tied late. We had somebody got sprung on a breakaway, full 4-3 win in the final couple of minutes. 1 week left, and then playoff time. So
nice. Well, let's get started in here. Let me throw up these banners here. I've been doing a little lackadaisical with that. Alex Turcotte back practicing in a non-contact jersey now, or not in a non-contact jersey anymore. He's back practicing full-time, so he should be back anytime soon with the team. Probably this weekend series is what I'm guessing. Seeing that he was on a streak a little bit before the injury. I didn't watch the game that he got injured, but what can we expect from him? And obviously with Jad getting pulled up, I don't know for how long. What is the ring going to get from Turcotte, and where do you think he's going to fit in to this team right now when he comes back?
I think you're going to get what he brings night in and night out, and that's he's going to roll up his sleeves, and he's going to be one of the hardest working players on the ice. He's going to be a really good 2-way forward, whether he's playing down the middle or playing on the wing. So he's a responsible player, and it kind of sucks because everybody's waiting for kind of the production or seeing what type of production he's going to bring, and he started to. Right, the last 7 games he's played in, he had 8 points, including a power play goal. So I think it was tough to see him go down just when he's starting to heat up a little bit. But he's the type of player that, like, he's I know it's maybe a bit cliche, but he's like an honest player. Like you're always going to get an effort out of him. Even if he's not producing, he's going to be an effective player. And I think that's why down the road he's going to be an NHL player for a long time, because he can be so versatile and do multiple different things on the ice in all three zones, to where if he isn't producing, he can still be somebody that's an effective player. So he's the type of guy that I think is going to hop right back in and make his impact the way he impacts the game, which, again, maybe on the defensive side of the puck, maybe down low on forechecks. But I suspect nothing less when he gets back.
Yeah, he's a guy that's constantly going to move his legs. Hopefully the injury doesn't stop that. And he was really making strides offensively, and we heard it that if the, rumors are that if the Kings weren't so, log jammed at forward right now, he probably would have been playing more games than what he did this season. Rob Blake mentioned that. And so I would like to see him just get back on it and get back to the scoring touch, because that's what fans want to see. And I really like that, O'Brien said, had a little different point of view of his game, and, that we had on Friday, saying that, he's just a responsible guy, and he makes up a lot of points in the standings by his defensive play and his point share. So, it's so crazy when you see point production and how that works out. But when we're talking about wins and losses from a team standpoint, defense is just as important. Obviously, we saw that in the Kings game, being up 3-1, let that team back into it because our defense, was atrocious. So I'm excited to see that. And then, we'll see, obviously, with the trade deadline, if the Kings move some people out, if it's Velarde, if it's Turcotte, maybe he is one of those pieces. But it'll be nice to get him back. I hope he continues back where he left off. And not really going back to those long droughts, being a more consistent point producer.
Yeah. And I've said it, we've talked about it, I think, on this show all season. And personally, I don't care if he plays a game in the NHL this year. I wanted to get the kid to be a healthy pro season. Honestly, that's all I was looking for. And he's had a couple of minor bouts this year where he's missed a little bit of time. So he hasn't quite had that, but if he can end this season, I hope I just stay in Ontario. There's no need to bring him up. There's enough bodies in Los Angeles. Turcotte's not going to bring anything different than what's up there. Let him just play and continue his development in Ontario. I think that's what's best for him. So hopefully, fingers crossed, the kid stays healthy the rest of the way and can put together a good end of the season. And hey, maybe a deep playoff run with Ontario. That'd be huge for him.
Yeah, I mean, they're a lot of these guys are going to learn just as much in a Calder run than they are going up and playing pro hockey. Playoff hockey is different. We all know that in the NHL. The same thing goes for the AHL. So they're going to get a different attitude coming together and working on that as a team. And hopefully these guys grow together. That's what the whole point of a lot of these prospects being in the same spot right now. You're going to eventually see this team transpose to the NHL level, minus some guys that maybe don't work out. But, learning to play with each other, battling through and showing it, through adversity of a deep playoff run is definitely something that they can learn and grow from.
Yeah, no question. And I know you mentioned it there briefly, but just throw out, really happy to see Anderson Dolan get called up to the Kings. He's earned it. We've talked about him on this show. He's a favorite of ours, been one of the better players in Ontario. So hopefully he gets a little bit of a role here with Los Angeles going forward.
Yeah. Let's move on to another guy that's back in action. Lias Andersson out for a long time with an injury. He's on a conditioning stint with the Reign. Don't know how long that'll be. Definitely earned her stars and stripes in this last game. I know we usually go game by game, but let's talk about Lias Andersson in his game in Game 3. Obviously scored the 2 goals with the extra man on the ice to pull this game out of nowhere. The exact opposite than what the Kings did in the same night. What did you think of his game watching it? Because obviously I was at the Kings and Stars game, so I didn't get to watch it. So kind of what did you see from him? And is it typical Lias Andersson with a little bit of that grit and a little bit of that skill?
It was, for a guy that's missed so much time, and I'm going to be honest with you, like with so many guys and so much that's been going on, the Kings been playing so well, the Raiders been playing well, there's all these bodies. I almost forgot about Lias Andersson. And all of a sudden he's back. He's in a conditioning stint. It's like, oh my God, there's another guy. We keep talking about all these players, and there's another one that's coming back. And he makes a big impact in his first game back. He's missed so much time. And yeah, I thought that he looked pretty good for his first game back in so much time. He showed the flashes of skill, and man, the goal he scored, and I know the between the legs goal is getting all the pub, and rightfully so. It was an incredibly skillful goal in tight, but the shot the shot he had to cut the lead to 1 right before that was just as impressive to me. He had wheels that game. His legs looked good, and he talked about it after the game that he said that he was even probably a little bit surprised himself with how well he felt. He didn't look like he missed a beat. It was kind of crazy, to be honest with you. So I played the power play. Really, really impressed with his first game back.
So is he the type of guy that you could see maybe helping the production of that Byfield line?
Randon, I don't know. Like I just said, there's a
I know it's one game, but
but you're right.
That's what the fans are thinking at.
It's funny. The reason I answer it like that is because there's here's another guy to throw into the mix, right? I mean, you look at the 2-goal game Kaliev just Athanasiou's been in and actually mostly out of the lineup lately. Grunstrom's getting some looks. Velarde is still playing well in Ontario. Is he going to get called back up? And all of a sudden, hey, guess what, guys? Lias Anderson's back. Yes. But it's the same problem that, say, Gabe Velarde has, right? Is who's coming out? Athanasiou appears to be on the way. If he's not on the way out, he's at least on the outskirts of the roster, at least at the moment. Grunstrom, is he locked into that left side? Probably not, right? Maybe not. I can see somebody else getting a look, but Anderson Dolan's there now too. So it's the same thing that we've kind of been talking about is, could Lias Anderson help in that line? Maybe. I just don't know who's coming out. So for now, he's in Ontario.
Yeah, I just really liked his game. And obviously that line with him and Kachev and Velarde in the preseason was getting all the pub. And the game just developed. And we talked about it last year and what he did with the Reign and how he kind of got that confidence. And I really think that he's almost kind of like Turcotte-esque in the fact that I really just want to see him be healthy and get a consistent look for a full season. And it's just injuries have been hampering Lias this year. And, Blake needs to make a move to reduce some of this clutter. And I think you're right. Athanasiou is probably the clear choice. Not that he's not better than Grunstrom or maybe Lias Anderson. He's going to be a UFA. He's not in the future plans for this team. It would also, clear up some salary for maybe a potential trade in this season. I think you're probably right. And I like Grunstrom's game more than a lot of people do. Tonka is one of those guys that just, he hits, he gets in people's face. He has that scoring touch a little bit. And he's the type of player that the team needs. The only gritty guy can't be Lemieux. Like you need a little bit more of that on that line. But right now he has that Brown and him, and there's not a lot of scoring touch to help Byfield. So bringing it back to Lias Anderson, right now he could definitely help this team, the Reign, push for a playoff spot. If there becomes an opportunity for him to be, available for the Kings, then great. I've always liked his game. I think he deserves a shot just because of how he looked when he does play. He just see if he can get some consistent games going and get healthy.
Yeah, it's like, and you said it earlier, it was similar to Turcotte. Let's just see if he can get a healthy running games here, and then see what happens as we approach the trade deadline. And because you mentioned Athanasiou, like even if he gets dealt, you still got Grunstrom and Anderson Dolan ahead of him, and Velarde's knocking on the door with his play. So, it's been talked about for months. It's a log jam that has so far tended to work itself out. So we'll see what the next couple of weeks brings.
Yeah. All right, guys, let's go to a little commercial break here with our sponsors at DraftKings. Hoops fans, the latest offer from DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA, is too good to pass up. I'm talking between the legs, 360 windmill good. New customers can bet just $1 on any team and get $150 in free bets if they win. It is that simple. If Sportsbook isn't available in your state yet, you can still take your shot at a big payday. Everyone can play for huge cash prizes on DraftKings Daily Fantasy Basketball Contest. DraftKings is giving all new customers a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes with their first deposit. Download DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code THPN. Bet just $1 on any NBA game and get $150 in free bets if they win. That's promo code THPN at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. 21 years or minimum age, and location requirements vary by jurisdiction. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for the first full list of requirements and state-specific responsible gaming resources. Void where prohibited. Minimum $5 deposit. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In Tennessee, call the Tennessee Red Line, 1-800-889-9789. In Connecticut, call 888-789-7777. Or visit ccpg.org/chat. In New York, call 877-8-HOPENY or text 467-369. Thank you, DraftKings. All right, on to the Roadrunner madness here. 3 games against the same team. Lots of back and forth in the series. I believe I read somewhere online that like the average goals per game when they play the Roadrunners is like 6.5, like between both teams. Like it's just crazy back and forth in most of these games. Couple comebacks and everything like that. Let's start with game 1. Game 1 was a loss here. But 5 goals in the first period. Started off hot. Ontario outshot Tucson 18-12 in this one. But Michael Carcone? Carcone? Is that how you pronounce it? Had a hat trick in this game. Gets his first 2 in the first period. What did you see from the Roadrunners? They seemed to come out pretty hot in this one, and the Reign did their best job at bouncing back.
The Roadrunners did come out hot. I thought the Reign were on their heels early. They got beat by a couple of goals from behind the goal line, a little low to high action on a couple of the goals that Tucson scored. So I actually thought the first period was a slow start. Doty dropped the gloves with Lacroix, so that maybe got into it a little bit, a couple minutes into the game. But all in all, the Reign ended up taking the lead, but the first half of that period, I thought it was a bit of a slow start for Ontario. Actually, Matty Villalta made a big breakaway save when it was 1-0 Tucson to keep it at 1-0, and he was pretty sharp early, and he had to be, and it allowed Ontario to get back in the game and then take the lead. But slow start, but they ended the period a bit stronger overall.
Yeah, going into the second, you get TJ Tynan and goals from TJ Tynan and Rasmus Kupari. The team looked a little bit better in the second one. Obviously they gave up a goal at the end, but overall they end up tying 4-4 at the end of the period. They looked like they got their footing back. Obviously it helps when your leading scorer Tynan kind of takes the reins, puts one puck in the back of the net there, feeds from Jordan Spence and Cameron Gauntz. I really like the way the team bounced back and came in this one. You had 2 goals within 20 seconds or so. With Tynan and Kupari, and it seemed like the momentum was shifting in the other direction.
Yeah, and it was a nice play by Spence. He was down low. He was actually behind the net himself, and he caught Tynan streaking in. It was a nice play, and we've seen Velarde be an impressive playmaker for Ontario. He set up Kupari. Really nice play there too, as again Kupari was kind of backing off at the back door. Real quick too, I want to go back to the first period. Martin Ferk, shocking, scored a power play goal, assisted the Tynan, but the primary assist was Jared Anderson-Dolan. And again, man, I keep going back to this, but his down low play, what a pass he made, crossed the top of the crease to Ferk. He just doesn't panic in that position, right? A lot of guys will get that, and they'll throw it on net quickly, or they'll make kind of a hurried play, and he just doesn't do that. Very patient with the puck. Really nice play there. So just wanted to go back to that. But second period was better, but Jan Yannick he's done some damage against the Reign this season, and he did it again. He tied the game back up, which was it was a Villalta thought he had it. I think it was a weird play coming down the side. Yannick on the left wing comes into the middle, and I don't know if Villalta thought he had it or if he thought he was somewhat interfered with. Either way, the goal ends up counting, and it's 4-4 after 2.
Yeah, it was a tough game, but you're right. The third round pick for the Coyotes there has been doing a great job all season. 14 goals on the year there, and they look like they might have gotten a steal in the third round in Jan. So yeah, definitely a tough game going in. It's 4-4, and then we get down with only 5 minutes left by 2 goals. Samuel Fagimo comes in. Scores his 16th of the year. The team's had a couple opportunities towards the end. The Reign have been pretty aggressive with pulling the goalies. I know when we were down early in the season with like 5 minutes left, they pulled the goalie. They've been pretty aggressive and outside, unlike the Kings in recent memory, the Reign have been pretty successful with the man advantage, just because you assume that they're that successful because their power play is successful. They're used to playing with each other with a little bit of space.
Yeah, and I'm all for the aggressiveness with pulling the goalie and pulling him earlier than maybe traditionally you see goalies get pulled with a minute left or something like that. But I'm all for 2 minutes, 3 minutes. If you're down by two, even 3.5, 4 minutes, I think when you're that late in the game, particularly trailing multiple goals, your percentage of winning is, and I won't pretend to be an expert in this, but the probability is just so low that what's the difference if you lose by two or if you lose by three or if you lose by one or if you lose by two. So pull the goalie, get an opportunity. It was tough watching it the way they went down. It was a mishandle by Matty V.
Yeah.
It just looked like a brain fart and a mishandle, and it sucks to see, because I've talked about him on this show how well he's played this season overall and of late. So tough to see him kind of have a mishandle there in the crease that Carcone's just able to poke in, but it happens. He hasn't had too many of those. Nothing really like that this season. So that was tough to see. But as you said, they kept coming. They score. Fagimo scores late, so they're always pushing. And with this offense, you're never out of a game. You're never out of anything. So
it seems like they believe that too. Like, you don't see anybody's head down on the bench when they're down late. Like, they think that they can come back, and it's almost, it's nice and refreshing that when you have a team this good, they just fully believe that.
I think perhaps that helped when you get off to such the start that they did, right? Unlike last year where they were off to a terrible, like 1-15 start or whatever that was. And it was the complete opposite this year. I think that gives you a little bit of confidence to where when you get later in the season and you're getting into the doldrums of the season and, you're down a goal late or 2 goals late or whatever it is. And you can kind of go back to that and that you guys have it in you to pull something like that off, and you have that confidence up and down the lineup. You can get goals from pretty much anybody. So yeah, I think that's part of the reason that you're seeing that.
Quietly effective game from Jordan Spence, gets his third 3-point game of his rookie season. So right, that's his third 3-point game of his rookie season. So quiet game from him, considering he didn't get one of the stars of the game, but still puts in 3 points and continues his hot rookie season.
It seems every game you look on the score sheet and Jordan Spence has 2 assists. He's having an unbelievable rookie season. We talked about it last week that if nobody else is going to talk about it, we're going to talk about seeing if he can be rookie of the year. We'll man that banner if we have to.
Just got to keep pumping the tires, man. Keep pumping the tires, and eventually they get filled. So let's move it over to the game 2. This one was early rout by the Ontario Reign. First period was a little slow, gave up a power play goal to Matthias Maselli, and Reign didn't really have anything going here. Only 4 shots on goal, but that definitely changed going into the second period. They seemed like somebody talked in the locker room. Completely different team when they came out.
It was a much better, obviously, period. Austin Wagner with a nice shorthanded goal. And that Matthias Michelli, he was just called up, actually. He's going to play, I believe Arizona plays tonight. He'll be in the lineup for the Coyotes. And it was kind of nice to see him go. He's had a good couple of games. He's a good little player for Tucson. And, just given where Arizona is, I wouldn't be surprised if he's going to spend a significant amount of time up in Arizona. But big second period for Ontario. Again, like I said, Wagner with the shorty. Anderson Dolan picks up a couple of more goals. He stays hot. So that's a period that they needed after, you drop the first game. You have a slow start in the first period. So a big second period was good to see from them.
Yeah, back-to-back goals in less than 2 minutes. Probably the game that helped him get the call-up. Not that his season wasn't deserving, but, showing that he was hot there, bringing an extra body on the road trip, which the Kings have done pretty much all season, taking an extra body there. So it hits him, and Athanasiou were scratched last night. Well, hopefully he gets some run here in the next couple games. In addition, I don't know if they'll use him on the power play, but it's something that maybe we see going on into the rest of the season. It looks like Michele had his rookie lap skate according to LTR Regulate here on YouTube tonight. Congratulations, getting the nod there and playing in your first NHL game. So let's continue this in the third period. Samuel just nets one off of Gabriel Velarde. It pretty much seemed the tires were deflated from Tucson in the third. It was kind of just a coast back and forth. No really urgent. I didn't think there was much urgency from Ontario just to bury this one. But I mean, I guess when you're already up 4-1, the game's pretty much over at that point, unless you're the Los Angeles Kings from last night. So I'm going to continue to dig them because I'm still a little bit hurt that I can't see a win when I go in. But I digress. So Samuel Fagemo, 17th of the season. Velarde with 20 assists. Velarde is, sneakily, well, he's not really sneakily anymore, but he's third on the team with points per game. 1.03 points per game behind Tynan and Ferk. Again, he keeps up the hard work and producing.
Yes. Again, I think it's just a matter of time. I'd said it with Anderson Dolan. So I was almost a little surprised that Anderson Dolan got the call-up. So I'm going to think he's going to see some time, but I think with Anderson Dolan and Velarde, it was these two are just ready. It's just a matter of, is there a spot? Is there a spot that opens up? And maybe Anderson Dolan will get in next game on that third line with in place of Grundstrom. Perhaps that's the route they go. But Velarde is another one that is. I think he's ready. I think he can provide help. I think he can help on the power play. I think he's. I don't know what more they need to see from an offensive standpoint. I think he can excel. And he talk about a guy that I think would fit great next to Byfield. And I think that is Velarde. So I would love to see him in Los Angeles, but again, there's no spot right now.
Moving over to the third game here, the comeback.
Real quick, I don't mean to.
If you have an extra point, go ahead.
John Letherman, he plays his first game of the season, picks up a big win, makes 27 saves. Good on him. It's been kind of weird, the fact that, which I've said it too, that the weakest part of our prospect pool is our goalie unit. Preek's played some games. Ingham's played some games. Letherman's now played his first game. I would assume Sparks would be the number two when he's healthy. I heard he is back skating again. I don't know how long he's going to be out, but heard he's back skating again. So it's nice maybe you don't have some confidence to get some long-term success out of these goalie prospects right now, but they've all shown that they can come in and at least win one game. So down the stretch, if there's some injuries or some COVID issues and the Reign are in a playoff push, having these goalies there that can maybe come in and spot start a game or two and get some W's is definitely something to be encouraged about. Yeah, sort of the blessing in disguise, I guess, of not having that is a lot of different guys are going to get a look. If Sparks goes down, then they've given looks to Ingham, they've given looks to Preek, as you said, and now Letherman. So I guess if nobody else is kind of fully showing that they're prepared to take that next step, then they're all going to get a little bit of a look, which can't hurt either. So we'll see if somebody kind of evolves out of this group.
Yeah, and it's something interesting. I know we're not into our draft talk yet, really, but there's something I've been throwing out, and I've been listening to multiple draft shows for the NHL, and there isn't a first round talent goalie this year. The last several years there's been a first round talent goalie. There really isn't even a high, guaranteed number one. There's a lot of guys just bouncing around. I wouldn't be surprised if the Kings maybe take multiple shots at goalies in the coming year and just throw a bunch of darts and hope a couple of them hit, because the rest of the prospect pool is so deep.
Yeah, they're at a stage now where you sense they're going to take kind of that next step in there, where it's a fine line, right? Because they have a pretty full cupboard when it comes to prospects right now, but that can go away relatively quickly if you package three of them in a trade. Well, now that gets a little bit thinner, so you still want to make sure that you're backfilling that in these drafts, and so it's a delicate balance, I assume, right? That you have to kind of manage that, and kind of these guys have to look, 2, 3, 4 years down the road, 5 years down the road, to see, making sure that they've got enough guys in the pool to develop at various levels, to make sure timing all fits out. It's got to be a fun job, but a stressful one at the same time.
Well, it's going to be a pretty big draft for goalies, for if they do make that pick, because you think goalies are about 5 to 6 years away. If that goalie is going to be a pro around that time, that means Cal Peterson's over 30. And so you're looking for that next heir apparent. And so, you could relatively think that if they draft a goalie in the second or third round this year that they deem worthy, that they think that guy has a possibility to be the heir apparent because of how long it takes to get that far. I think Villalta's probably a backup, or maybe that kind of that swing guy, or if they have an injury. Ingham and Parikh really haven't stepped up at all to show progression to see maybe if they have a shot. So, they might have to throw some darts there, or then you're looking at maybe after Peterson's contract is up, maybe having to make a big signing in between the pipes and get it from free agency. So let's move on to the last one here before we give our Reign Player of the Week. This one was a little bit madness. I'm going to have to rely on you, Joe, because like I said, at the game last night, you're our expert on this one. So tell us what you saw in the first and how this game got going.
It wasn't good. The first period wasn't good. I mean, for the bulk of the period, Tucson had outshot. I think it was late in the first when they were up 3-0. Tucson was, and they were out shooting Ontario 11-4 at one point. It was just a totally flat period from the Reign. Jacob Doty pots his first of the year, so it kind of gets them back into it a little bit. But not a whole lot there in the first period to speak of. And I'll be honest, as we kind of switch over into the second period, it wasn't a great push. The next two periods, frankly, there wasn't like this huge push. I mean, like I said, they were outshot 11-4 at a certain point late in that first period, and then they poured it on at the end of that period. But after that, it was 3-1, and there just never seemed to be that push, that jump to like press to tie the game. They didn't dominate the rest of the game. They didn't control the shots the rest of the game. I mean, heck, the shots were 15 apiece in the second and third period. So the goals that Anderson scored more or less came out of nowhere. It's not as if the ice was tilted and they were expected to come. It's just, he gets the puck late in that third period, and a gorgeous shot from the left wing, streaking down the left wing, and he scores the beauty between the legs goal to tie it. But that it's not as if these goals were expected. It was only a matter of time because the Reign were just dominating the third period. That wasn't the case at all. But fortunately, they had a game breaker opportunity in Lias Anderson, and they took it. So, and that gave them a little bit of a jump, I would say, as they headed into the overtime period.
Yeah, so I mean, it's definitely something that showed they can come back. Like I said, I don't think they're ever out of the game there.
Yeah,
as long as you look at it, and good for Lias coming back after injury and just stepping in right away.
Yeah, and then of course, in overtime, Marty Ferk, it's just what a season he's put together, and you could see the reaction he had when he scored the goal too, how fired up he was, and he's been just a fun player to watch. He's got 28 goals this season. Tynan picks up yet another assist for 55 assists on the season. So it was great. The Reign, and listen, they stole a couple of points there. Let's be honest. So. But they'll take it. There's games where you don't always have it. You don't have that jump. They're at the extra gear, and you find a way. And it's just kind of crazy. We've talked about how they get goals from up and down the lineup. They get goals from defensemen. And look at the goal scorers in this game. Like Jacob Doty scores his first goal. As one of their commenters here says, it was a nice pass from Wagner. Like Jacob Doty chips in, and then you get two from Lias Anderson, who hasn't even played all season, to tie the game. And it's just, you're never out of it. This team is never out of it, which makes it a lot of fun as fans to watch this team play.
Yeah, very, very, very good game and getting some points. And, if you're going by just straight points, I'm just saying straight points right now, the Reign are in first place. So 66 points, the Heat have 64. I know points percentage or whatever the AHL is throwing up there on their website. Us Reign fans can look at the other way and say, hey, we're in first place. So let's go to another comment here from LTR Regulate. And just kind of on the side, it says he's been disappointed with Akil Thomas this year. 1 assist, no goals in 18 games. I know he's coming off surgery, then hurting his foot, blocking a shot, some tough breaks, but he needs to get going. He is 22 years old.
I don't want to kill the kid. He's 18 or he's 22 years old. He's only played 18 games this season. He is coming off the injuries. And listen, like big surgeries he had, right? I think it wasn't a double shoulder surgery he had, I think, in the off season. So, I'm my expectations for him, I think when I guess I don't remember maybe what I said as he was coming back from injury around the holiday time. So maybe go back and pull the tape. But honestly, I don't, maybe it's a cop out. I don't care what he does the rest of the season production wise. I just want him healthy. Get him healthy, get the reps, get him playing in all sorts of all three areas, power play, even strength, penalty kill, get him in the play when they make playoffs. He'll be a prominent player in playoffs, and just get him back into a rhythm. I think you missed that much time with a serious injury you're coming back from. Plus you miss more time when you take you block a shot. I get it. I understand the disappointment, and I'm sure there's a level of me that's disappointed in the production, and is disappointed with the overall play. But at the same time, I want to be a little bit more patient and give it the rest of the season. Let's see how the offseason goes, and then into training camp next year and see how he looks. And if he can stay healthy the rest of the way and have a healthy offseason, get going, then we'll have a bit more of a fairer, maybe perhaps truer evaluation of Akil Thomas. Because remember, he had a pretty good season last year. He showed a lot of signs that he's going to be an exciting player. And he unfortunately has to deal with some injury stuff. So I want to throw the production stuff out the window. I just want him healthy, and hopefully as he gets going the rest of this way, that the final month or so of the season, he can start to be a productive player.
Yeah, and I'm not saying this next statement that directly reflects on him, but not all of our prospects that everybody likes and enjoys is going to make it.
Very true. It's a good point. It's a fair point. And like you said, not to say that that's going to be Akil Thomas, but people have to understand that not all some of these guys aren't going to make it. They may get a cup of coffee in the NHL, but that's not, they're not all going to make it. And who knows? I mean, he could be one of them, but that's a fair point too.
Yeah, there's only so many mouths they can feed, and you look at what he's done. And I mean, I personally like Akil's game. I thought he was one of my more favorite prospects outside the first rounders. I think he's a Swiss Army knife. He plays,
Agreed.
He's played center, he's played wing. I know in juniors he's played defense a couple times when the team needed it. He has a good head on his shoulders. He owns a clothing line in Zale, which actually did the Kings warm-up jerseys the other night.
Yeah,
the kid's very smart. He does a podcast called Souls on Ice, talking about minorities within hockey and everything like that. So like he's got his hands in many pots, and obviously hockey's the number one pot for him. But he's a bright kid. I wish nothing but the best for him. For me, the production does mean something. 18 games and you only have 1 point. I'm not expecting him to be a point per game player, coming off the injury, but I would like to see a little something, and not anything like crazy. Like if he had like 6 or 7 points right now, I'd be like, okay, he's coming off injury, but he has some production there. We're just not seeing anything. And that's maybe a little cause for concern for me, because he's the type of player that you do need in those situations. He scored the golden goal for Canada. He's been to pressure situations. He's been relied upon for big moments. And if the Reign are going to make this deep push, he's going to have to be a member. I think that he is one of those quiet leaders in the locker room, has a good head on his shoulder. And I think that he's going to be a needed piece if this team continues to go far.
Yeah. And especially if guys are going to end up, being called up or being moved out via trade, his role and his importance on the team could improve, or could, get a lot bigger. That's for sure. If guys ahead of him are going to be out of that lineup over the next few weeks. So, but I just want to see him get a stretch of games healthy. And I know I've said that with Turcotte, and maybe I'm being a little too lenient, but these are young kids still getting used to the pro game, and they're also trying to do it as they're, continuing to miss games and miss time and miss reps and rehab from injury. And it's unfortunate.
Yeah, and he's still got a couple years before he hits his prime. Some people are late bloomers. I have all the confidence in the kid to right the ship, but we'll see what happens here. Let's wrap this thing up with our Rain Player of the Week. Joe, who do you want to nominate for Rain Player of the Week?
We named the award after him unofficially,
Unofficially.
but we haven't given it to him in quite a while, probably because we just said it's a given. He always gets it. But when you get 8 points in 3 games, I'm giving it to TJ Tynan. Okay, I think that's maybe he's listened to the show and we haven't given him the name of the award isn't enough for him. He needs to actually win the award. So TJ Tynan, we've just raved about him all season. I mean, what? I think he's even exceeded the expectations that I had. And you remember in the offseason about how I was just gushing over this kid and I'm really excited to have him around. But I don't think I expected even this level of dominance where it's just he is one of the best American Hockey League players I've ever seen. Maybe I'm overstating it, but man, oh man, I mean he's going to come close perhaps to touching the assist record in the AHL. He's got 55 assists on the season. I mean, holy cow. What a player and what a stretch of 3 games where he picks up a goal and 7 assists.
Yeah, right now, second in the league in scoring. Might be able to take his second MVP. Has 11 goals and 55 assists. He probably would have even more if he didn't get that call up.
Yeah.
Obviously they rewarded him with giving him an NHL paycheck for a couple days. So good on him. Put some extra money in your pocket. But yeah, I agree. You took mine as well. Like I said, when you have that many points, it's hard not to give an honorable mention. But I'm going to give an honorable mention, and it's not a player. And I'm probably going to butcher his last name because I always forget how to pronounce it. But Chris, is it Hodgett?
Case Stool?
What?
Case Stool?
No, Hodgett, the coach.
Oh, the coach.
Yeah, I mean, Robo's been gone pretty much all year. Assistant coach. I know but he stepped up in the Rain. Haven't really missed a beat. I'm not saying that Robo is a bad coach or anything like that, but good on him. Like stepped into the role. Obviously was thrown into it because Robo left so unexpectedly, and this team is pushing for first place still and keeping it going, keeping the power play successful. That's what Robo was known for, is the offensive juggernauts for Team USA. And just keeping that rolling, go for it. I mean, you have to have the tools in your tool shed as well, but I got to give him props. He's doing a good job, and the team's going. And we still wish Robo, with whatever he's dealing with, the best of luck, and hope he gets back whenever he can. But way to step up and keep this team rolling.
Yeah, no question. I echo that sentiment on Robo, and yeah, listen. And you've seen a little bit in LA. Trent Yawney's getting a few games of running the bench, and yeah, to do it for an extended period of time like this. That's probably not an easy thing. I mean, it's one thing to be the assistant coach. And I'm an assistant coach on the high school team I coach, but so it's a different role though, right? I mean, as an assistant, you're able to be a little bit more buddy with the guys. I know Robo's a player's coach, but at the same time, he's got to be a bit of an authoritarian at times and make sure that things are in line. So as an assistant to slide into that role, I think it's a testament to him, but it's also a testament to the character of the players in the room, that they have that respect to continue to play for him and put in the same type of effort. So I think that's a good shout. And I'm going to say though, I thought you were going Christian Case Stool. Hey, he's been in this lineup quite a bit.
You could.
For the Rain, he's under the radar. He's not a prospect, but
got the PTO and has stayed here.
Yeah, throw some stick taps his way. I think that's deserved. And he's picked up a handful of points here and there. Credit to him.
Yeah, I mean, and I got to give credit where credit's due. I heard this, but listen to the Rain check-in. He's one of 3 Norwegians in North America playing.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah, 7 points in 17 games. Like you said, he picked up an assist last game too. Like, hey, good on him. Yeah, it's height. Yeah, yep.
Yeah,
height.
Thanks. I said I was going to butcher it, and I apologize, but yeah, I got to get it right eventually. So appreciate that, Regulate, for letting me know how it's pronounced. Well, that'll do it for another episode here on Making It Rain. Thank you guys for coming in the chat and talk with us. Joe, always a pleasure. You can find all of our articles at hockeyroyalty.com, putting them out every day, the pre and post games. different things. The draft season is going to be coming up, so we got some of that stuff coming up too. We just released an episode today talking about the Kings' unfortunate losses to the Bruins and the Dallas Stars. And so listen to that one before you listen to this one, or vice versa, but listen to them both. Thank you for the Hockey Podcast Network, which we're a part of. We appreciate that. Thank you for our sponsor, DraftKings. As always, go Kings, go.
Go Kings.